stars are made, which Sun players are going to shine brightest on this stage.
Take a look at the starting lineups. They are as they were just presented. They remain for Los Angeles: Chelsea Gray, Raquana Williams, Tiara Ruffin-Prata. Front court of Candace Parker and Nneka Ogwumike for head coach Derek Fisher. And for the Connecticut Sun, led by Kurt Miller, a backcourt of Jasmine Thomas and Courtney Williams, Shakina Strickland, Alyssa Thomas, and Jonquel Jones in the front court. Connecticut used the same starting five all 34 games this season. The Sun, losing at home in the single elimination second round each of the last 2 years, ensured themselves a series this year. They host game 1 of the semifinals as Parker goes back to win the tip for Los Angeles. The Sparks coming off a game 2 single elimination victory at home against the Storm on Sunday to earn their trip here against the Sun. Here's Raquana Williams through the lane, and that's going to be a charge as Strickland took the contact and is fired up afterwards.
See Los Angeles in attack mode from the jump. Raquana Williams going down the lane. Great job by Strickland to get there well outside the restricted area.
Connecticut very tough at home, 15-2 this year at Mohegan Sun Arena. Here is Jones, difficult shot, defended well by Ogwumike. And here comes Gray. Gray had 21 in the win on Sunday. Parker finding Ogwumike into the lane. Her jumper is good, and first bucket of the semifinals belongs to the Sparks.
Both possessions now we've seen from Los Angeles attacking the paint, trying to get inside.
Williams misfires on a 3. Courtney Williams, talk about this time of year making stars. She has the personality, she has the flair. This could be the summer that we end up seeing Courtney Williams kind of vault into the upper echelon of stars.
Without question, has the game behind her talk.
Gray's jumper a little too strong, and Strickland the box out in the board. Jasmine Thomas tried to snake between 2. It's off of Ogwumike and will stay with Connecticut.
Connecticut hasn't played in 8 days. You wonder if it's going to take a little bit of time for them to get in their rhythm. Their first shot was a good one by Jonquel Jones. The air ball by Courtney Williams. It's been a little bit.
Kurt Miller told us he tried to mix appropriately, rest in preparation, staying sharp, but also getting some rest. Said they would go 2 days off, then 2 days on. And Kurt Miller's Connecticut Sun, just one of 4 teams ever to use the same starting lineup in each of their 34 games. As Thomas misfires, here comes Williams, who can just bulldoze down the floor. Able to push that pass over to Gray. Parker, excellent look, and Ogwumike the lay.
You can never turn your head if you're guarding Nneka Ogwumike. She is too relentless. She runs too hard. She's going to go to the basket, and she's got so many good passers surrounding her.
Strickland, net by Parker. Thomas will fire, and that one tilts out of bounds to Los Angeles.
If you turn your head defensively and lose track of Nneka Ogwumike, Jonquel Jones looking at the ball just a second too late. Nneka is too quick, too athletic, too relentless.
Well, we saw that in the second round. I mean, there were just so many possessions kept alive by Nneka Ogwumike, who ended up with 17 points and 6 rebounds in that game. But probably put about 5 or 6 fouls on Seattle on the offensive glass. Jonquel Jones got a piece of that. She was tied for the league's lead in blocks this season. Here's Alyssa Thomas in for 2.
Really nice pass by Shakina Strickland.
Gray will take a little short on the 3. Here comes Thomas, an outstanding orchestrator from the forward position as Strickland doesn't get the roll, and the rebound knocked out of bounds by Jonquel Jones.
That's one of the interesting things in this game, at least interesting to me, is you have Alyssa Thomas on one side, the power forward, Candace Parker on the other, and as you see Candace bringing the ball up. Both, they're probably the two best facilitating forwards in the WNBA.
Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
And Rebecca, it's such a great point because Candace Parker says she is best when she's in transition and can see the floor. That's when the game comes to her. And in a season when she's been battling injuries, whether it's a back injury or an ankle injury, that she can have the ball in her hands and contribute in other ways than just scoring. It's a beautiful thing to watch at that forward position.
And, you know, you look at the way they both filled the stat line. Strickland can't finish. Jonquel Jones battling with Parker. And eventually LA wins the battle. Thomas had by far the most assists for any forward in the league. We know Parker's always a threat for a triple-double every night. They are two of the standout facilitating forwards in this league. Here is Thomas bodying in, getting the bucket and the foul.
Alyssa Thomas is a bully when she gets the ball in the paint, whether she's in full court. She is one of the players who loves contact, seeks contact out, because with her frame and her strength, she can absorb it and still finish.
She tied for the 4th most points in the paint this season, 4th most fast break points. And we talk about sort of the complete stat lines of her and Candace Parker. Well, there were 3 players in the WNBA this season to average 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. They're all playing in this game. Thomas, Parker, and Jasmine Thomas, as a couple of turnovers back and forth result in a foul against Alyssa Thomas.
Key matchup here. Jasmine Thomas, one of the best defenders in the WNBA, trying to slow down Chelsea Gray, who is just a phenomenal orchestrator. You see Connecticut trapping on the pick and roll.
And as they do, LA turns it over. Derek Fisher, who's just an outstanding dresser. I mean, fantastic 3-piece that he's rocking tonight. His first year as head coach of the Sparks as Thomas lays in another. Alyssa Thomas has all 7 Sun points, and it's a 7-0 Connecticut run. It's felt a little more like a jog, but it's 7-0 nonetheless. Ruffin Pratt has it knocked away, taken by Strickland. She's been active so far in this first. Thomas through the lane, missed the layup. And Parker the rebound. Connecticut is back. Parker was looking to push, but didn't have any horses with her.
She left the carriage behind her.
That's right. And Ruffin Pratt was there to sit in the carriage? No?
I think we took it a step
Yeah,
too far.
Probably.
We mentioned this in the last round, but Ruffin Pratt, her main focus is on the defensive end of the floor. Always a bonus when she can hit from the perimeter.
Here is Thomas. Goes to the right hand and floats it in. A little trash talking afterwards, and a timeout taken by Los Angeles. Alyssa Thomas with 9 points so far in this first. She has all of Connecticut's buckets. 2-point game midway through the opening quarter of game 1.
Welcome back to Connecticut, here with LA Sparks guard Chelsea Gray. And Chelsea, Jasmine Thomas, your old college teammate from Duke, is in your space. They're also trapping that pick and roll. What do you have to do better to get the ball in motion?
Just moving the ball side to side, getting rid of it as soon as I see 2 people. And we were able to do that last trap. We just got to execute out of that.
Alyssa Thomas is a problem here in this first quarter. What do you have to change defensively to contain her?
Just staying in front of her, making her shots difficult. And then when we do get in front of her, not fouling her and not giving her and ones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Chelsea Gray has watched Alyssa Thomas score all of Connecticut's points thus far. 9 points, 4 of 5 shooting. The rest of the Sun 0 of 8 from the floor thus far. Meanwhile, Gray herself has struggled this year against Connecticut, just 10.5 points per game on 32% shooting in their 3 matchups. As Parker, on her first field goal attempt of the game, buries a 3.
And we talked to Kurt Miller before the game. How do you balance, you know, defending the paint and defending the perimeter? He said, you know, we've got to really defend the perimeter against their guards, and they're really good shooters. That might mean we give up some to their bigs.
And Connecticut this year was first in the league in defending the 3 as Jones gets free for a layup. And yet the Sun were just 11th in overall defensive field goal percentage. 11-7, 11-10, the lead for Connecticut. Parker can't lay it in. Here comes Thomas. Thomas muscling inside, and she has 11 first quarter points.
You know that she wants to score within 3 feet of the basket. Good luck stopping it.
Beautiful spin from Parker, and the dime on the money from Gray.
The chemistry those players have established over the years, remarkable.
Williams will take again. A little too strong. And Gray the rebound. Gray no look in traffic and a bit too ambitious as Thomas ends up cleaning it up on the turnover. Jones gets the inside position and just couldn't quite spin it in. Elena Beer, Wnba getting ready to check in for LA as Williams too strong on her 3. Here is Thomas again, trying to take it coast to coast and effectively doing so. 13 first quarter points for Alyssa Thomas. Thomas, a 2-time All-Star on the all-defensive team for a 2nd time this year. And she has been Connecticut's offense in the first. Strickland didn't have the angle, and Parker comes up with a rejection. And then an unnecessary foul in the backcourt from Shakina Strickland.
Alyssa Thomas is relentless when she can get her feet in the paint. She's known for the spin. You'll see a couple of those a game. The finish inside, she's equally adept with her right and left hand. The floaters in. I mean, this is a player who does not take shots, Ryan, outside of 7 or 8 feet. And right now she has all the Connecticut's on points.
By the way, you heard those groans/boos. Those were for Wnba, the former member of the Sun, checking back in. These teams played just once here during the regular season. That was a game won by Connecticut. The 2 meetings in LA won by the Sparks. But in that meeting, Shanae was booed vociferously as Jasmine Thomas buries a 3. And now LA turns it over.
Right at the point, though.
6 turnovers in this first quarter for LA. They had just 9 all game in the 2nd round against Seattle. Shot clock down to 3. Excellent look from Thomas. Jones can't squeeze it in. Nice defense on the interior from Parker and Wnba. Although it appears Parker might be a bit shaken up. About a 9-second differential game in shot clock. See if LA wants to speed up and try and force a 2-for-1. Doesn't look like it.
Doesn't look like it.
Gray Gray guarded by her college teammate, Jasmine Thomas. 6 to shoot. Gray gets to her spot. Little too strong, and it springs Williams. 8 seconds left in the quarter, and Williams wisely slows it down, wants to make sure Connecticut has the last shot. A point of emphasis from Kurt Miller. Will it be off in time? It's good! As Jasmine Thomas buries the three. They'll make sure that Thomas got it off in time. It looked very close. If she did, it's a 7-point Connecticut lead after 1 quarter here in game 1.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. The new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell. And the all-new 2020 Jeep Gladiator. This seat is reserved for the restless.
Back to Connecticut here with LA Sparks head coach Derek Fisher. And coach, they're making things very difficult for your point guard Chelsea Gray. What can you do to get that matchup a little bit more in her favor?
I mean, we just have to be patient. We know that she's going to see a crowd. She hasn't showed trust in her teammates, move the ball when she sees a crowd, and just limit the unforced errors.
Alyssa Thomas is able to do whatever she wants right now. What can you do defensively to limit her more?
Well, I think the transition points we have to take away from her. We're not overly concerned if she scores at times in the half court, but none of the easy layups in transition. We have to take those away.
Thank you, coach.
Well, to Coach Fisher's point about the transition points, the Sun a 6-0 edge in that first quarter in that department. Meanwhile, they did review that final 3 from Jasmine Thomas, and it was determined it did indeed get off before time expired. So 21-14 to begin the second quarter, game 1 of this best-of-5 semifinal series, and that's going to be an offensive foul against Wnba.
So LA that time tries to run a middle pick and roll, a little bit more difficult to trap out of that. I'm also eager to see, LA had a lot of success against Seattle's trap of the pick and roll by reversing the ball to the corners and getting threes. We'll see if they're able to adjust and get those here.
Jones in the corner, can't hit the 3. Thomas comes away with a steal. Courtney Williams alone to the rim. You know, the first thing Derek Fisher told us that stood out about what his team did in that round 2 victory against Seattle was understand being patient in a postseason game. As Sydney Weiss believes that was tipped. So do I, actually, looking at it, but it's going to be out of bounds off of her. And he said one of the reasons, or one of the ways that manifested in the round 2 game was not turning it over. He said we showed that even though we weren't able to pull away the way we wanted early in the game, we knew it's a long game. Be patient. Postseason games feel even longer. And eventually, when we had our chance to strike, we did. Well, so far, LA has turned it over a ton, and Connecticut is taking advantage. 8 turnovers for LA.
Connecticut's defense has been absolutely terrific, and that's one of the big reasons for the turnovers.
Wnba can't push it in. Beard flags it down. 3 to shoot. Weiss gonna have to do something. Gets it off and hits. They will review it. For now, it's a long 2 for Sydney Weiss. And a foul inside against LA will send Jonquil Jones to the line.
What a great story Sydney Weiss has been this season. A player who scored exactly how many points last year, Ryan? The entire season, 0.
However, that bucket is going to come back.
So on that play, she scored exactly the same number of points as she scored last season. But her improvement, the opportunity to play this year, she was ready to seize it. All the credit to Sydney Weiss for stepping up in this moment.
Derek Fisher just raved about the impact she's had on the team. For the latest in all things WNBA playoffs, including scores, news, and highlights, get the WNBA app. Download for free today from your app store.
I'm still protesting the fact that we do not have any reads for the WNBA store.
Yes, folks, Actually, a member of a broadcast team who wants more promos to read. Holly Rowe, I know you don't agree with that, but you probably can tell us more about Sydney Weiss.
That's right. Derek Fisher told us today that when they were trying to decide who would actually make this roster, there were some hard conversations in that room. And one of the reasons that he really lobbied to keep Sydney Weiss on this team, keep in mind, she did not score in the playoffs. She did not score a point last season, but he wanted to keep her on the team because he said there's always more that you can add to a team than scoring. He thinks her demeanor every single day, relentless positivity every day. He said, I needed her on this team, whether she played or not, because of the spirit that she brings. And we're seeing that not only does she have that spirit and that positivity, but she's actually contributing on the floor. Good decision by Derek Fisher, it seems, in retrospect.
Absolutely, Holly. Well said. Raquana Williams bounces to Nneka underneath, spinned into space, and lays it in. And, you know, the other thing, just to put a finishing bow on Holly's story, Derek Fisher also mentioned, he said, when I think about our championship teams, guys like Rick Fox, Lamar Odom, Robert Horry, who you just knew would know where they need to be. That's the kind of player Weiss is. As Elena Beard takes the contact, and Connecticut turns it over. And if that's on Alyssa Thomas, it is her second personal, and it is. What do you think, Rebecca?
I think that'd be a no call. You think there was enough contact there for a foul?
I agree with you. I think a no call. Kind of felt like it was all happening in one motion.
Yeah.
Beard was sort of sliding under as she was catching. Nonetheless, that's 2 on Thomas, who can get into foul trouble at times. Here's Wnba, just persistently wedging her way inside, and a timeout taken by Kurt Miller. Good response from LA. A 6-0 Sparks run.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by Office Depot Office Max.
Back at Uncasville, where the LA Sparks have cut the Suns' lead to 6. How did they get this lead? Connecticut has been relentless on the defensive end of the floor, has forced turnovers, gotten live ball turnovers that have sent them the other direction, primarily when they've been trapping Chelsea Gray. Los Angeles, however, has gone on a mini run the last couple of minutes. Surprisingly, that run has happened with Chelsea Gray on the bench.
Now, the score is 26-20. When you last saw us, it was 26-22, but that bucket initially ruled good by Sydney Weiss at the 8:21 mark, was reviewed and ruled after the shot clock had expired. So it's 26-20 as Bria Holmes checks in for Connecticut, unable to finish inside. Beard finds Weiss. Weiss got hit and fouled, and Sydney Weiss will shoot 2. Let's check in with Holly on Kurt Miller's last huddle.
Well, you saw him call that timeout after LA went on that run, and what he was asking his team in the huddle is to have better congestion. We saw that nice defensive package where they were doing a good job against the pick and roll. A lot of congestion in the paint, making things very difficult for LA to enter the ball. But he said, we're giving that up. We didn't do a good job there in that stretch. He also said, continue to run them off the three-point line. They lead the league in that, the best defensive team in the WNBA, running people off the three-point line. So three-point line, congestion, those were the keys for the huddle.
That last possession, there wasn't enough congestion. I mean, Sydney Weiss ran off a great UCLA cut screen, and she was able to get the ball easily inside.
Out of the trap, Thomas flips it over to Holmes. Her 3 is good. Bria Holmes, who has been the best player off the bench this season for the Connecticut Sun. It's a 3 to end the 8-0 run from LA. Chinea Wnba out there with Nneka, Elena Beard, Sydney Weiss, and Raquana Williams, as Beard somehow was able to angle that in, plus the foul. Difficult finish from Elena Beard.
A new role for Elena Beard this season. Coming in off the bench, we saw her have impactful minutes in the last game against Seattle. What a great take. She's a lefty going to her strong side. Pretty.
Elena Beard was a game best plus 30 in less than 17 minutes in that second round game against Seattle. Chelsea Gray back into the game for LA. As Beard misses the free throw, it's Nneka Ogwumike, Sydney Weiss, Candace Parker, Elena Beard, and Chelsea Gray for LA. Courtney Williams' jumper is good. And watch out when she gets cooking. The 5 for Connecticut, Courtney Williams, Alyssa Thomas, Jasmine Thomas, along with Bria Holmes and Brianna Jones. Jones comes out and fouls Elena Beard.
Brianna Jones trying to hedge hard. She did foul. The crowd is booing because the whistle came late, but that was the right call.
Tiara Ruffin-Pratt comes back in for LA. Here's Williams. Parker tried to force it inside. 2 to shoot. Ogwumike, what footwork just to find a little bit of vision and then using the window.
Sometimes you forget how good Nneka Ogwumike is, and then she quickly reminds you with plays like that.
Courtney Williams buries the jumper.
She missed her first couple of shots, but yes, as much as any player in the league, she can get hot and stay hot in a hurry.
Raquana Williams hits the leaner, and back and forth they go. Williams will try a 3. Misfired on that one. And Nneka Ogwumike with the rebound. Here's Parker. 4-point Connecticut lead. Coming on 4 minutes remaining in the second quarter of game 1 of this best-of-5 series. Raquana Williams misfires, rebound lands in the lap of Gray, who cashes in.
Nothing is going to rattle the LA Sparks. I mean, they've been in this moment many times before, may have been in a different arena, but they know how to handle runs and deficits on the opponent's floor.
Ball out of bounds. Let's take a listen into Courtney Williams talking about what to expect when you watch her Connecticut team.
We come here to compete. We're not just a bunch of role players. I heard somebody say that. They're goofy. We're not a bunch of role players. We come here to compete, man. We don't win games by accident. We ain't here by accident. So I think everybody gonna see that. And they're gonna see that I'm a bucket. I'm out here. So they're gonna see all that we out here. We come to win the championship. We didn't come here to just make it to the playoffs this year. We trying to win the whole bird.
Nneka Ogwumike answers Williams' bucket with a 3. Great back and forth action here in the second. I don't know what I like better. I'm a bucket, or we're here to win the whole bird.
Are you goofy? Did you say that they're a bunch of role players?
I don't think I said that, Rebecca.
I don't think you did either.
I don't think I was on the disrespect pump-up video. Williams forced that one a bit. Jones and Parker volleying. Here comes Parker. 2-point game. LA's done a nice job wiggling back into this one. They trailed by 12. Gray, no look. And Parker couldn't quite get control of it. Here's Tuck. That's going to be a block. Chelsea Gray called for the foul. 2:43 to go in the second quarter. Connecticut leads by 2.
John Brickley with you in the studio. Son, a 2-point lead on the Sparks. Coming up on the WNBA halftime report presented by State Farm. We'll unveil the top 4 picks in the WNBA draft lottery. Who is going to get number 1? We're going to unveil that coming up at the half. And Ryan, I already know what Rebecca's thinking. I'm going to beat her to the punch. If Brick was in the draft, he would be picked last. We will see you at the break.
I was gonna say, I didn't know Brick had legs. Like, he's usually sitting behind the desk.
Well, I know this is the player you believe will be picked first in the draft.
Yeah,
next year.
Sabrina Ionesco is just, because she turned 22 this year, she could have come out and been a part of this past year's draft. She would have gone number 1 if she had done that. She's the heavy favorite to be the number 1 pick, no matter who ends up with it.
We'll see if it's New York, Dallas, Indiana, or Atlanta.
We'll see.
That's at the half. And remember, There's another semifinal game tonight as well. You have Washington and Las Vegas following this one. Vegas coming off that unbelievable forever win against Chicago as Thomas got tripped and will go to the line. Alyssa Thomas is going to shoot 2.
Kurt Miller wanting to get the basketball back in her hands in his play out of the timeout.
Now Thomas goes to the free throw line where she struggles immensely, but Holly Rowe, there's a good reason why she does.
Well, Alyssa Thomas is currently playing with 2 torn labrums in both shoulders. As you see her with the spin moves and not taking those long-distance shots, it's because she literally cannot raise her arm over her head. She's reluctant to have the surgery because she would be out for almost 7 months. That would impact her career overseas and here. But remarkable that she's even playing basketball with torn labrums, can't raise her arms over her head.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. She shot under 50% from the line this season. She's at 61% in her career as Parker rattles in a 3, and LA has their first lead since it was a 10-9 game. They've worked out from under a 12-point deficit. Here is Thomas storming inside again. Great dish to Jones, and Jones finishes.
Not only the dish, the spin so she wouldn't pick up her 3rd foul.
Like a figure skater. But just to put a bow on the Thomas free throw shooting, if you look at her numbers in college and her first year in the WNBA, she could hit free throws. But she just hasn't been able to the last few years because of exactly what Holly was describing. The torn labrum that she has in each of her 2 shoulders.
And also why she doesn't really look to shoot outside of 7 feet.
And yet is still so effective. Here's Tuck barreling in. What a rejection from Wnba, and it's out of bounds to LA.
Look what Alyssa Thomas does on this play. She inbounds the basketball, then she gets it back going full speed. Not only the dime, but the spin to avoid contact, Ryan. Wow.
Parker with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Parker, a big jump stop, and she gets the roll. Boy, is she special. When Candace Parker looks spry, she's as good as anyone you've ever seen. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists for Parker. And LA, who was down 12, is now up 3. Let's take a look at our upcoming WNBA national TV games. Coming up at halftime of our game, we'll have the WNBA Draft Lottery. Following our game is Game 1 of the other semifinal featuring Las Vegas at Washington. And on Thursday, we'll bring you Game 2 action for both series starting at 6:30 on ESPN2. For more on these games and all playoff info, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. Well, Connecticut has done a good job shutting down Chelsea Gray in the backcourt of LA. They've held them to a combined 4 points. However, the front court, Parker and Wnba, have lit it up here in this second quarter, and the LA defense has started to lock Connecticut down. A 10-2 Sparks run. They have a 3-point lead. Parker travels.
Well, with LA scoring offensively, they can get back and set up their defense. Much more effective, of course, than when they were turning it over or missing shots. And, when Connecticut can get going with a head full of steam, led by Alyssa Thomas, bringing the ball down, they are very difficult to defend. If you can set up, much easier.
11th turnover from the Sparks. Thomas can't push that one in. And Wnba comes up with her 8th rebound to go with 13 points. She's 6 of 7 from the floor in this first half. About a 5-second difference, game and shot clock. Gray, patient. Trying to work around the double, 2 to shoot. Nneka doesn't get it off, and a nice defensive set there from Connecticut.
Ruffin Pratt was there in the corner waiting, and Nneka just didn't see her soon enough. But that's the spot that's open against the pick and roll. If you can make that pass quickly enough, that corner 3 will be there.
6.2 seconds left in this first half. Thomas hit a shot at the end of the first quarter. Will she get one here? No. Parker with the rejection, her 3rd. And 0.8 to go in this second quarter.
That counts as spry for Candace Parker.
I think so. That rejection falls in the spry column?
It does. Check in the spry column.
Jones? No. And that'll do it for the first half. Connecticut built a lead as large as 12, but LA goes into halftime with a 3-point cushion. 40-37, the score at the half. As semifinal series. And a 40-37 lead for LA as we check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, as you said, Candace Parker looking fantastic right now. If you'll remember in her last playoff game on Sunday, she twisted that left ankle. She said being able to be on a charter flight that the WNBA paid for Sunday night was huge because she was able to get treatment, ice that ankle, keep it elevated the entire flight here from coast to coast. She feels good, she looks good, and that is a huge assist to the WNBA in that charter flight.
Well, and it's a wonderful point, Holly, because as Strickland buries a 3, first points of the game for Strickland, who was 0 for 3 in the first half. It's a wonderful point because we talk all the time about in the playoffs with Candace Parker, quick turnaround, how she does often play better with more rest. Meanwhile, Chelsea Gray looks a little shaken up.
Shekinna Strickland sets the cross screen for Jonquel Jones, then runs off the down screen by Alyssa Thomas. Oh, Chelsea Gray slipped on something over on the sideline, slow to get up.
We'll have to make sure Chelsea Gray is okay. She slipped on a wet spot and is still grabbing at her left leg. And a foul against Jonquel Jones. She was trying to stay with Nneka, and that is number 1 on Jonquel Jones. Jonquel scored just 5 points in that first half. Did have 3 blocks. Jones had just 2 rebounds in the first half. She led the league in boards this year. And she has one right here at the start of the third. Alyssa Thomas and Courtney Williams played every minute of the first half for Connecticut.
Alyssa Thomas played most of those minutes with 2 fouls.
In the corner, Jasmine Thomas rings in a 3. And Jonquel Jones had her arms extended before that ball was even in flight. Happy with the way the ball rotated on offense for Connecticut. Nneka a bit too strong on her attempt. Here comes Williams. Thomas lobs it inside, hits off the rim, ends up with Alyssa Thomas, and shot clock, I believe, should have reset and did not to 14. And now they address that.
Pick and roll up top. You get the defense in rotation. Candace Parker extends, but just a beat late. Good unselfish basketball by Connecticut.
Connecticut now 5 of 14 from deep as a team. Strickland gets another good look and hits another.
Ryan, I was talking to you at the half and saying there's a big difference in the Connecticut Sun in terms of their wins or losses when Shekinna Strickland makes threes and when she doesn't. 2 of the first 3 possessions Connecticut has run to get her an open look from 3.
A 9-0 run to begin the second half. 3 threes connected on, 2 of them by Strickland for Connecticut. Parker gets the position and finishes. Nice decision from Ruffin Pratt. And Parker now with 14. Connecticut's backcourt was a plus 17 to LA's in the first half. And LA's frontcourt was a plus 17. As Alyssa Thomas is going to draw a timeout from Derek Fisher, who is not happy with the D. The Sun with a 6-point lead, courtesy of the long ball.
They have come out firing here in the second half. Firing, connecting, firing, connecting. 6-point lead.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Connecticut on an 11-2 run to begin the second half, which forced a timeout from Derek Fisher. Let's listen in to his most recent huddle.
Right now, both ends. Energy, passion, effort. I care about this. I love this. This is where I want to be. Nowhere else. Not feeling sorry for myself at all. Tired, body hurt, whatever. This is what we signed up for.
Mostly trying to get that effort and fire on the defensive end of the floor. Connecticut able to hit a few threes. LA needing to do a better job fighting through and around screens to get to the shooters.
Gray gets it into Ruffin Pratt. Williams will take and misfire. Rebound hawked down by Wnba. Here's a chance for Ruffin Pratt, and she can't get the roll. Foul underneath, and it's going against LA as Alyssa Thomas is in pain. And Alyssa Thomas, an absolutely vital player to the Connecticut Sun, is down and seemingly in a considerable amount of pain. Looks like she just kind of got scraped in the face by Raquana Williams. And Williams called with a loose ball foul. Thomas still sort of squinting as she works her way up the floor. Williams finds Jasmine Thomas off on a three. Jonquel Jones couldn't quite clean it up, and Candace Parker is perplexed at the whistle as Jones will shoot two.
Really good job by Jonquel Jones to secure the offensive board. Until I see the replay, I'm a little perplexed too, because I didn't think Candace fouled her right here. Offensive board came down a little bit with
maybe a little on the arm. This is the YouTube TV Try It free throw. Watch WNBA games and 70+ live channels when you try YouTube TV for free at tv.youtube.com. Now, if you want to look at the Connecticut Sun and their championship hopes and aspirations and areas of concern, one might be the free throw line. They are last in the league when it comes to free throw shooting percentage at 70% as a team. The team that's first is the 1 seed, who'll be taking on Vegas, game 1 of their 5-game series following this. And that's the Washington Mystics, who shoot it at 87.5% as a team.
Especially in these playoff games, which tend to be close games. Those points really matter.
And Connecticut is 3 of 7 today from the line. Beard's jumper is good. Elena Beard has a knack for when she needs to contribute on that end. Five to shoot. Thomas lost her footing. Scraped up by Janae, and she is fouled by Shekinna Strickland. That'll be number 2 on Strickland.
Good defense that time by LA, in particular Chiney Wnba out there on Shekinna Strickland, not giving an inch.
Janae facing her former team. Last time we saw Janae in a playoff game here, it was as a member of the Sun, but she was slowed by injury in last year's loss to Phoenix. Deep catch for Nneka, can't finish. Rebound ends up with Connecticut. Williams eyes up, gets it back. Will take the long 2, no. Rebound ends up with Thomas, and Janae on the rejection. And the outlet to Gray. Gray with just 2 points thus far. Beard's baseline jumper is true.
You're going to have to start respecting Elena Beard as an offensive player.
Maybe that speech from Derek Fisher worked. 6 points for Beard now as Thomas misfires on a triple.
Connecticut this half defending the pick and roll differently, no longer trapping Chelsea Gray. Coming out of the locker room thinking, all right, Derek Fisher has found a solution for that. We're going to change it up.
Nice steal from Thomas, 4 times on the all-defensive team. This her 3rd straight year on the first team all-defense. Strickland with a hand in her face, too strong. Rebound out to Raquana Williams. Leaking out, it's Wnba for 2, and it's a 1-point game. Pretty much how you figured the contest would be between these teams?
Exactly. Well played, high scoring, and close.
Connecticut has missed its last 6 shots. Thomas might have had a bunny instead. Jones does finish in traffic. Just the 3rd field goal of the game for Jonquel Jones. Raquana Williams with just 2 points thus far in this game. Here is Thomas. She can storm from end to end. That's going to be a foul on Raquana Williams, and that will be her 4th. And Williams took a spill afterwards.
I was talking to Alyssa Thomas earlier today. Ooh, that looked like a bit of a push-off on Thomas. And
I feel like, and sorry to interrupt you, Rebecca, I think the way her face hit the floor is what, you know, was scary about viewing that, as Raquana is still taking a moment.
Oh yeah, because she tripped over her teammate's foot. And when I was talking to Alyssa earlier today about, you know, her ability to continue to be effective even though she doesn't really have a perimeter shooting game. And she said, it's because I go so hard. She said, and in transition, if you get in my way, I'm going to run you over or I'm going to sidestep you with a Euro step in that possession.
That was the run you over.
That was the run you over for sure.
Chinea Wnba playing outstanding defense here in this 3rd and leads Sydney Weiss perfectly for 2.
There's been some Wnba defense here so far in the 2nd half by both Chinea and Nneka.
1-point game. Jasmine Thomas can't get the roll. Rebound Gray. She's poked by Jasmine. And a foul against Connecticut.
The defense by Chinea Wnba, active hands, able to recover the ball, and then Sydney Weiss using her body because Courtney Williams has got ups and can block that shot. The hustle that Derek Fisher was looking for in his timeout.
He has found it. The turnaround is good, and just like that, LA back in front. What a contest here in game 1 between the Sparks and the Sun. A 10-2 Los Angeles run. Thomas tees it up. Can't knock it down. Good fight inside, and the putback no good from Jones. And it's out of bounds off of Connecticut. LA basketball. Hey, coming up next, the 2nd game of our WNBA playoff semifinal doubleheader. The Aces take on Elena Deladon and the top-seeded Mystics. You can always catch the game live on the ESPN app as well. That was Holly Rowe and I as we were flying out of LAX Sunday watching the end of Aces Sky. And we took off right before the half-court shot.
Good thing that nothing exciting happened at the end of that one.
Right, exactly. Foul on Alyssa Thomas. That'll be her 3rd. Luckily, we had you texting us, and we had Enrique, who was an incredibly kind flight attendant for Delta, who was letting us watch maybe a little bit later than he should have. But Enrique, I hope your bosses don't get mad because it's people like you who keep us coming back to Delta. Gray with a hand in her face, air balls it, and Jones the rebound. Thomas floats it up and in. It looks so unorthodox, but it's so effective.
Well, because she's so good off of either foot, shooting with either hand. Sometimes it's like, all right, which one am I going to use?
You almost can see her processing that.
Yeah.
Cheney can't rattle it in. Nneka Ogwumike, such a monster inside. Look at the battle. And eventually, Connecticut win it. Ogwumike probably could have been headed to the line. And a foul against Cheney as Alyssa Thomas took a shot. Thomas once again on the ground in pain, being surrounded by her teammates.
See her coming off, and it's hit a little bit by Cheney.
Oh, just kind of got scraped in the midsection, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, Alyssa Thomas still has not sat in this game, nor has Courtney Williams. Nneka's getting a breather here. She's been on the bench for just 2 minutes.
2 minutes in the quarter.
Thomas hops inside, can't finish that time. Parker back in, secures the rebound. Parker has it snatched away by Alyssa Thomas. 2-on-1. Strickland. Oh, what a defensive play by Cheney Ogwumike. Her defense in this third has been tremendous. Parker, difficult shot, and she'll go to the line.
The defensive effort by both teams and players on both sides. Here, Alyssa Thomas does a great job timing it, gets the steal, and then going the other way. Cheney Ogwumike, active hands, good things happen. Is there something on the line today, Ryan?
Well, feels like it. 14 points, 6 rebounds for Parker. That was the 4th foul on Alyssa Thomas as Parker misses the free throw. LA 2 of 4 from the line. Connecticut 3 of 7. This game has moved swiftly in large part thanks to those infrequent trips to the stripe. Tied at 53. What do you think? You ready for 5 games of this?
I am more than ready.
1 minute and 25 seconds to go in the third quarter of game 1. Williams talking to her father on the sideline after she splashes in that bucket. 10 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds for Williams. As Gray can't hit the layup, Cheney gets rejected by Williams. Thomas shovels and gets it back. Alyssa Thomas squirts it in off the glass. (19) for Thomas. Cheney is fouled, bailed out by the whistle on a sloppy take.
Connecticut started this quarter by making a lot of shots from the perimeter. Now they're going a little bit more inside. The athleticism of Courtney Williams with the fade can shoot over most defenders. And then Alyssa Thomas with the sidestep. She said, I'll run over you or I'll sidestep you. That was the sidestep.
Holly?
Well, guys, you can hear some boos from the crowd. There's a kind of a love-hate relationship with Cheney Ogwumike here in Connecticut. Obviously, she was here playing for this team the last 3 years, but forced her way out, according to some, to go to LA. When we spoke with Cheney today, Rebecca, she said that, you know, she wanted to be closer to her family, play with her sister. It had been a long 8 years that she never got to see Nneka while she played overseas. She also wanted to have better work-life balance with her responsibility with ESPN. So Connecticut not happy that Cheney didn't want to be here, and they're letting her know that sometimes when she touches the ball, but she wanted more balance in her life.
Yeah, their perception is that she didn't want to be here, and she said, you know what, that wasn't the case. Just the way for me to get work-life balance involved me going to Los Angeles. It's not that I did not want to be here in Connecticut.
Right, she very much enjoyed the experience here in the organization. This was just the best decision at this point in her life. And she's had to adjust to a new role coming off the bench in LA. And you can see as a result, minutes down, points down, rebounds down. Even the field goal percentage down this year for Chiney.
And it was a great opportunity for Jonquel Jones to step in and take some of those minutes.
And Jonquel has thrived. Meanwhile, Chiney's defense has been an enormous part of LA able to overcome an early hole in this third quarter after Connecticut was hot to start it. Got a 6-second difference, game and shot clock. Parker will take a three. You bet! Candace Parker with 18 points. LA back in front.
With a hand in her face.
2 seconds left. Thomas, a free release. And the scoop. Weiss the heave. Nearly banked it in. It would have counted. What a third quarter. Connecticut, a 59-58 lead after three. Buckle up. The fourth quarter of game one is next.
Welcome back to Connecticut. Here with Sun coach Kurt Miller. And coach, the second half, you start out on 11-2 run, but then you go dry. What are you doing well in those runs that you've got to do more consistently?
Well, we established Strickland early in the half, got our 3-game going. We just moved them early in the quarter really well and played to the extra. We didn't get stuck on one side of the floor. When LA can stick you on one side of the floor, they can eat you up.
Jonquel Jones hasn't really been such a presence so far. Can you get her more established, or do you need to?
Yeah, and we got her the second or third most shots on the team right now, but we've got to find her ways where the congestion's away from her. So we just got to keep moving her, but we've got to still play through her this fourth quarter.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What a first three quarters of this best-of-5 series. It has been 4 ties, 11 lead changes in game one between Los Angeles and Connecticut. The Sun the 2 seed, LA the 3, as Weiss misfires on a triple to begin the fourth quarter. The Sun with a 1-point lead. Something to keep in mind as we come down the stretch of this game and Holmes lays it in. When you talk about playoff experience, Los Angeles has a lot more of it when it comes to their players on the floor. As Weiss gets fouled by Holmes and will shoot 2. Will that levy any sort of advantage for them in what are looking to be very tight, high-stress moments here in the fourth quarter of game one?
And I asked Chelsea Gray that exact question earlier today, and she said experience takes you a long way. When you're not used to playing in a certain atmosphere, it can rattle you, but when you are, you can draw back on that experience.
Take a look at our series schedule. Thursday, game 2 at 6:30 on ESPN2. Game 3 on Sunday at 7 on ESPN2. And if necessary, game 4 would be Tuesday. Game 5 would be Thursday. For more on these games and all playoff info, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. Well, that makes a lot of sense, Rebecca. Just when you've been in those spots, you've seen it. As Thomas gets rejected. And a foul on the floor, going to go against LA. And by the way, if you're Connecticut, you're saying, yeah, now's our chance to get that experience. Yep. And once we win, you'll be saying the same things about us.
Of course, yeah, of course. But until then, LA's the one that has that experience. And even talking about Chelsea Gray specifically, she's not thrived so far in this game offensively, 1 for 6. But still, Ryan, she's the best closer in the WNBA. Keep an eye on her late.
Excellent point. Jones has it knocked away by Chiney, and that's going to be her 3rd foul. But more importantly, in this circumstance, perhaps, already the 2nd team foul against LA, less than a minute into the fourth quarter.
A little less impactful when it's against the worst free throw shooting team in the league.
That's a good point. Another thing to watch out down the stretch of this game. Here is Holmes swooping through, can't finish. Weiss on the rebound. Here is Gray. Her jumper is short. Rebound Jones. 5th rebound for Jonquel Jones. Chelsea Gray now 1 of 7. Thomas off on a 3. Long rebound. Scraped up by Gray. Poked away, but into the arms of Weiss.
Weiss is poised in only the 2nd playoff game of her career. has been really impressive.
Here is Gray, the floater, banks off, and it's a charge against Chelsea Gray, who's pointing to the restricted area, feeling like it should have been a block.
But does the play originate in the lower defensive box? No, Shakina Strickland's up on her toes. It looks like she got out of it.
My question would be, had she established position before Chelsea Gray started the upward shooting motion? Because I'm not sure she did. It looked like she might have slid in after Gray had released. Here is Jones on a three. Yes, even at 6'6", she can do that. A big three from Connecticut center as Parker swims in for two.
Candace took a little rest defensively. She didn't contest Jones' shot, but she found the energy as soon as she got the ball in her hands.
Go get that bucket. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks for Candace Parker. She's 8 of 10. And a foul against Janae. That is going to be her 4th and the 3rd team foul against Los Angeles.
Alyssa Thomas will lower her shoulder. I mentioned she likes to absorb contact. Janae just got her arm stuck in there, and the foul resulted.
Thomas, the floater, no. Rebound knocked into the arms of Parker. Nice effort by Weiss to guide it there. Beard trying to save it, does, right to Parker. How about this possession? Wnba's bucket will not count, otherwise it really would have perfectly finished that script.
Just great effort to save the basketball from going out of bounds, and without even looking, Elena Beard saving it. Candace Parker there. You know, when the crowd erupted when Janae went out of the game with her 4th foul, how do you think they felt when they saw Nneka coming in for her?
That's a lose-lose.
Right?
Alyssa Thomas barrels in. That's off her. Nice defensive play by Parker, and that ball last hit Thomas off of her leg.
You know Alyssa Thomas wants to attack. That's a foul.
Oh, no, I'm wrong. It wasn't her leg. It was LA's leg that it last hit, as Weiss rattles in the jumper. So even if it wasn't a foul, that last hit LA.
Well, it was a foul, so that's like a double whammy.
A double whammy, said Rebecca Lobo.
That's the official verbiage in the rule book. All right, we're going to look at it one more time because it could be a 4-point swing. Right there, Nneka, lots of arm. That's a foul. And then, yeah.
It hit Nneka's knee.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Yes.
That was a missed call.
Yep.
That was an incorrect call with who it went out of as well. However, LA has gotten called for now 4 touch fouls to begin this quarter, including one on Sydney Weiss. Jonquel Jones lays it in, and Connecticut has the lead back.
Yeah.
So both teams could have gripes and could feel like they've had some blessings as well.
Even if they couldn't have gripes, coaches always have gripes when it comes to the officiating.
Parker trying to create, gives it up. Beard an open 3 is no good, and out of bounds over the backboard to Connecticut. Rebecca, you look at these two teams, 6:01 to go in this 4th quarter as Jonquel Jones able to give Connecticut that bucket to go in front. What do you think will end up being the difference in these final 6 minutes?
I think it's going to be like the little defensive plays. You know, the extra dive on the floor for a loose ball, executing. You know, it's always those little things that are going to matter in a game like this.
Thomas pulls up, was just left alone, buries the jumper, and Derek Fisher is irate. Very unhappy with the defensive sequence there from his LA Sparks. You saw 2 go with 1, and that left Thomas alone. Connecticut by 4.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
At Mohegan Sun Arena, we welcome you back. We'll have a WNBA playoff doubleheader for you Thursday as well with Game 2 in the best-of-5 semifinals. The second-seeded Sun will host the Sparks at 6:30 Eastern. Then it's the Aces taking on Elena Deladon and the top-seeded Mystics. Both games on ESPN2 and the ESPN app. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, Curt Miller in that last timeout really asked his team to dig in on defense. They have thrown a lot of different looks at this LA team, whether it's trapping the pick and roll or using a rover at times. What he said to them now is, I expect LA to really space the floor with this lineup they have in. That means you've got to guard the perimeter, but then be able to dig in and really get to the roller if they go to the basket. He's asking them to do both types of defense right now. He said, you have to dig in.
Gray has to get going, and maybe that shot will help. 1 of 7 before that make, but we know, as Rebecca told us earlier, she is dangerous at this time of the day. Thomas trying to squeeze inside, defended nicely by Gray and Parker. Gray, no look to Nneka. Courtney Williams able to knock that out of bounds. What do you think about Curt Miller's defensive instructions that Holly relayed?
Oh, similar to what he had told us before the game, that's really the challenge against Los Angeles, is especially with Sydney Weiss on the floor. She's a player who can extend the defense. Well, look at all the space they have in the middle of the court now where they can dive.
Weiss could not hit the 3 there. Williams, pull-up jumper is good. Courtney Williams, who had 27 points last year in Connecticut's single elimination loss in a back-and-forth contest with Phoenix. She, too, can get buckets in big moments in the fourth quarter. Weiss will try again. Short. Thomas the rebound. 4-point Connecticut lead. Jones working on Parker. Parker denies her, and it will stay with Connecticut. 6 on the shot clock.
Talked about Courtney Williams earlier in the game and how she can just go get buckets because she has the ability to elevate that time over Candace Parker. In this last defensive possession, Candace Parker played the scout beautifully, knowing Jonquel likes to turn over the right shoulder.
Instead, Jones connects on her second 3 of the fourth. And Connecticut has a 7-point lead. And a travel from Raquana Williams.
In Connecticut, back to trapping the pick and roll. And when they've done that this game, they have been really effective at forcing turnovers.
Connecticut building a little separation. Williams has her pass knocked away by Parker. Parker shoved Williams aside and then finishes on the other end. I think Curt Miller was upset Parker wasn't called for a foul after the initial deflection. Parker now with 22 points. Thomas gets hit and will shoot 2.
You see Candace being aggressive on the defensive end of the floor, and she gets into the body of Courtney Williams. A little bit of a push. And then finishes the other way.
For the latest on all things WNBA playoffs, including scores, news, and highlights, get the WNBA app. Download for free today from your app store. Now today, Curt Miller has a very special spectator. His son, Sean Seymour, who has been incarcerated for almost 5 years in Indiana, is watching. And I know it means a great deal to Kurt to have him there. They talk every day about second chances and how Sean is going to make the most of his. And I know he's just so thrilled that his son could be watching this playoff game today. And right now, Kurt Miller's team getting the stops they need down the stretch. A 6-point lead with under 3 minutes to go in game one. Williams leaves it, and it's going to be a charge. Parker took the contact, and a big defensive stop that LA needed. As the Sun will call a timeout, 2:40 to go in this fourth.
Candace Parker, a steal on one possession, finish the other way, and then here stepping in to take the charge, getting it done on the defensive end.
John Brickley back in the studio, still to come on ESPN2. Elena Delle Donne leads the top-seeded Washington Mystics into their semifinal matchup against Asia Wilson and the Aces coming up next.
All right, Brick, we look forward to that matchup. The Washington Mystics special. Look at their all-time ranks, what they did this season. Best free throw percentage, most threes made, most assists, average win margin, tops, wins by 20-plus points, tops. The third point differential of all time, trailing only the 98 and 2000 Houston Comets, the first dynasty that this league had ever seen. Their game one will be up next against the Aces, but here in the fourth quarter, Connecticut has taken a 6-point lead, outscoring LA by 5 so far in this frame. LA yet to make a 3 in this fourth quarter. Candace Parker has hit her last 7 shots. Good hands by Thomas, who comes up with a steal. And then a foul by Parker.
Because Candace had hit her last 7, that play was run for her. Alyssa Thomas, who Kurt Miller says is the best defender on our team, gets over the top, gets her hand in. Beautifully done.
17 turnovers for LA. Part of the reason why Connecticut has taken 14 more field goal attempts in this game. But now Thomas, LA was over the limit. Thomas at the line, a very poor free throw shooter, hits the first. Under 50% on the season. Holly detailed earlier why she has put off surgery on a torn labrum in each of her shoulders. But she hits both here. 21 points for Alyssa Thomas, a new playoff career high. Does LA have a run in them? Williams has been quiet all game. A force there, and she gets the whistle. It'll be 2 free throws for Raquana Williams.
Do they have a run in them in the last 2-11? The experience on this LA Sparks team, combined with Chelsea Gray, I think they do, right?
Williams, just 2 points. Gray, just 4. As Williams misses the free throw. LA now 7 of 10 from the line. And these were always the spots where you'd look at Connecticut and say, you know, can they close out games like this? Or do they have the players to go to? This year, they have proven to. So far in this fourth quarter, they have proven to, as Williams misses both. Ten to shoot. Thomas. Over to Jones. Jones blocked by Parker, her 6th rejection of the game. And they're going to take a look at who this is out of bounds on. Inside of 2 minutes, so they can.
Jonquel Jones going up, Candace Parker blocking it. Well, that's a tough one. It's hard to tell if it went off Jones' hands last or Parker's hands last.
It's Jones. I think it's the right hand of Jones.
And it doesn't matter if people at home think that was a foul on Candace Parker. They can't review for that. They can only review to see whose hand the ball went off on. Actually, Ryan, I'm wrong there.
In the WNBA, if when you go to the replay monitor for an out of bounds, you see that it was clearly a foul that caused it being out on the other player, you cannot call a foul retroactively, but you can award possession to the foul player.
Exactly.
So if the officials looking at that thought it was clear and conclusive that Parker actually fouled Jonquel Jones, and that's the reason the ball was out on her, they could not call it a foul, but they could rule it Connecticut ball rather than LA ball. However, I don't know if there's anything from that replay that would show that is a clear and conclusive foul.
Yes. Maybe the grab of the wrist, but we'll see what they say.
And so instead, it clearly hits the right hand of Jones last.
Yes.
So if that situation you just brought up is not coming into play, then this is going to be LA basketball. Now that's a rule that differs from the NBA. You go to the monitor in the NBA, you cannot award possession in a situation like that to a player, their team, who you felt was fouled, and that's the reason it went off on them. But in the WNBA, you can.
Well, with the length of this review, I would think they must be considering that, because it was clear early on who the ball went off of.
Well, the call on the floor stands, so no foul there that would have forced it being out on Jonquel Jones, and it clearly did hit her hand last. Jones with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. After a quiet start, she's had a loud finish. Beat LA chance. Here from the crowd at Mohegan Sun Arena. It's been a strong fourth quarter for the Sun. Ruffin Pratt glides inside, can't finish, but gets the foul and will shoot 2.
Ruffin Pratt, terrific job attacking, fearless, going at the best shot blocker in the WNBA this season. Jonquel Jones, along with Brittany Griner, led the league at 2 per game, and
not a whole lot there.
No.
That's why Jonquel Jones was so upset. These are big free throws. We just saw Williams miss a pair. Ruffin Pratt hits the first. This game, one of a best-of-5 semifinal series. A Western Conference team against an Eastern Conference team. As conferences no longer matter in the playoffs, this is the 4th year of the new format. 6-point game. Final 90 seconds. LA needs a stop. Williams won't give it to him.
We've talked about Connecticut's increased ability to close out games. Well, that's the player who has become their closer, especially late in the season.
Parker needs it. Doesn't have it. Rebound Williams. She's fouled and will go to the line.
Courtney Williams has terrific speed and explosiveness, very comfortable with a ball in her hands, uses the screen, beats 2 defenders, but her ability to elevate and stay in the air allows her to get that shot off over bigger defenders like Candace Parker.
As she told you earlier, Rebecca, I'm a bucket. Williams, one of 3 players in the WNBA this season to average 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists, as she misses the first free throw. An 80% free throw shooter. Her dad checking out the action. Courtside as she hits the second. And Connecticut has a 9-point lead, honing in on a Game 1 win. At the conclusion of this Game 1, we'll have Game 1 between the top-seeded Washington Mystics and the De'Erica Hamby half-court Wizards, the 4-seed Las Vegas Aces. That's coming up next. Pam Ward, LaChina Robinson, Kim Adams will have that call for you. Meanwhile, here in Connecticut, this game was tied at 64 with 6:47 to go. but Connecticut has held LA to just 6 points since then, a 15-6 run from that moment. Parker trying to go quickly, missed it inside. And Connecticut can taste a Game 1 victory. Williams content to let some clock wind. Now on her drive, can't quite finish it. LA needs something here. Wnba barrels in, finishes, and the foul. That is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Sparks to keep them in this game.
And you would think they need to score in threes. They have not made a three this quarter, 0 for 6. Well, this is a way to get it the old-fashioned way, Rye.
And that is the 5th foul on Alyssa Thomas. Thomas has 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. And Wnba a chance to cut this to 6 and make it a 2-possession game.
Elena Beard coming in the game for her defense. You would imagine LA get the ball back, put Raquana Williams back in for offense.
Nneka splashes the free throw. 20 points, 10 rebounds for Nneka Wnba, her 8th playoff double-double. And a foul from Parker, and a smart one. Alyssa Thomas with the basketball, and she'll go to the line.
But not a smart play by Courtney Williams. You need to bring the ball up. You're the 80% free throw shooter. Alyssa Thomas hovering at 50%. I think that was kind of the look on Alyssa Thomas's face. Like, why'd you give me the ball when you know they're going to foul?
Absolutely. So now Thomas, who did hit 2 her last trip to the line, she's 3 of 5 tonight. Big free throws here. And she misses the first.
Derek Fisher coming back in the game with a couple of his three-point shooters, and Sydney Weiss and Raquana Williams.
This game far from over. LA still with 1 timeout remaining. Connecticut with all 3 of theirs. Thomas makes the second.
Important. Three-possession game now.
Gray hustles it up the floor. Dangerous pass inside, knocked away. And that may be the last gasp for LA. Thomas backing it out. Gray will foul. The Sun fans celebrating. 28 seconds away from a Game 1 victory.
This is a Connecticut Sun team and crowd thirsty for a victory in the playoffs. The last 2 seasons lost single elimination games. This year, Connecticut and LA tied for the best home record in the league, 15-2.
And Connecticut has not won a playoff game since 2012. Parker lays it in. 24 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks for Candace Parker. Thomas avoids the foul and will lay it in. Jasmine Thomas, 19 points, 8 assists. And a timeout taken by Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher upset. He thought there should have been a foul call when Nneka tried to get one on Thomas's layup. Well, Game 1 of Vegas and Washington has tipped. It's available on the ESPN app. We will send you over there as soon as this game is over, as Elena Delle Donne makes a little baseline leaner. Here in Connecticut, it's all cosmetic at this point. 13.5 seconds remaining, and the Sun an 83-75 lead over the Sparks. In Connecticut answering those questions about can they close.
They've done a really nice job here today, and in particular on the defensive end of the floor too, Rod.
And away from the ball, an offensive foul against Candace Parker. Or make it Nneka Wnba. It was just Parker who was upset about it. 13.5 seconds left. Looks like LA is still going to defend this inbound. And now a technical foul is called against, I believe, Derek Fisher. If not Fisher, somebody on LA's bench. Candace Parker has been heated. And Derek Fisher has for a while. He was given a pretty significant rope there. And finally, Michael Price had heard enough. Now, this is what Derek Fisher was upset about. Thought that should have been a foul on Nneka. It was not called as Thomas laid it in.
Of course, they would rather have Jasmine Thomas going to the line than getting the open look.
Thomas catches and dribbles it into the front court. And that will do it. The Connecticut Sun take game 1 of this semifinal series. 84-75 the final. For Holly Rowe and Rebecca Lobo, our producer Rodney Vaughn, our director Chuck Ciccarello, and our entire crew, I'm Ryan Rucco. The Sun take game 1 of this best-of-5 series. Game 2 of our semifinal series Thursday at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Right now, we send you out to game 1 of Las Vegas and Washington. Pam Ward, LaChina Robinson, and Kim Adams.